Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're talking about something big, a new playbook that's trying to tame the absolute wild west of artificial intelligence. And believe me, this isn't just some boring policy paper. We're looking at a set of rules that's really going to change how AI systems are built and secured.
So let's just get right into it. The big question is, how in the world do you secure something that can think for itself? For decades we've gotten pretty good at building these digital fortresses around normal software. But AI is a totally different beast. It learns, it changes, and because of that, it opens up a whole new can of worms, vulnerabilities our old security playbooks just can't handle.
And we're not talking about your run-of-the-mill cyber threats here. Things like model poisoning, where attackers secretly corrupt the data an AI learns from, or prompt injection, which basically tricks an AI into breaking its own rules. These attacks don't just find a bug in the code, they attack the very logic, the brain, that makes the AI work. And that's created this huge, gaping hole in our defenses.
So the big question is, what do we do about it? Well, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST, made a really smart call. They realized that trying to invent a whole new security system from scratch for a technology that's moving at light speed, that's a fool's errand. Instead, they decided to take their existing, battle-tested framework and give it a major upgrade for the AI era.
Now, to really get what they're doing, you have to understand the foundation they're building on. It's called NIST Special Publication 853. The easiest way to think about it is like the operating system for security in the US. It's this massive catalog with over 1,000 security controls that federal agencies live by, and it's become the gold standard for the private sector too.
And here's where it gets really clever. If 853 is the operating system, they use something called a control overlay, which is kind of like a specialized app you install on top. It's a custom filter that takes that huge list of controls and zeroes in on the ones that matter for a specific technology, whether that's cloud computing or, as you probably guessed, artificial intelligence.
And this framework didn't just appear out of nowhere. It's been evolving for years. But the real game changer happened in 2020 with Revision 5. They did something that sounds small, but was actually huge. They took the word federal out of the title and made it apply to all systems. That single change cracked the door wide open, making the framework flexible enough to finally tackle something as new and complex as AI.
Which brings us right up to today, or at least to the big announcement. In August 2025, NIST officially kicked off the COSAiS project. That stands for Control Overlays for Securing AI Systems. This is their big plan to stop just talking about AI security principles and actually give organizations concrete technical guidance they can use on the ground.
And instead of trying to boil the ocean and solve everything at once, their plan is built around 5 distinct pillars. It's a clear recognition that AI security is definitely not a one-size-fits-all problem.
So each of these overlays is aimed at a really common way that we're all using AI. First up, generative AI. So think of your corporate chatbots and copilots, where the biggest dangers are things like prompt injection and data leaks. Second, you've got predictive AI, the stuff used for forecasting or fraud detection, where data poisoning is the nightmare scenario. Then they've got overlays for single AI agents, for systems where multiple AIs work together, and finally, a really important one for the AI developers themselves, to secure the whole process of actually building these models.
Okay, so what's the word on the street? How's the industry taking this? Well, on one hand, there's this kind of collective sigh of relief that finally a real standardized approach is on its way. But that relief comes with a pretty big catch.
And this quote from Audion, Paxson, and Ironscales just nails it perfectly. This is what people are calling the pacing dilemma. How can a slow, deliberate government standards process possibly keep up with the insane breakneck speed of AI innovation? There's a very real fear that by the time these rules are finalized, they might already be out of date, addressing yesterday's problems.
So you might be thinking, okay, this is a government thing. Why should I care? Well, here's why. While it starts as mandatory for federal agencies, this stuff has a ripple effect. It cascades down. If you want to sell any AI product to the government, boom, you have to comply. If you're in a regulated industry like banking or healthcare, you can bet this is about to become your new benchmark. And maybe most important of all, if an AI system fails and people end up in court, this framework is almost certainly what lawyers will point to as the legal standard of reasonable care.
And here's a fascinating side effect. Checking up on these new rules, auditing them, this isn't a job for your traditional IT auditor. No way. Verifying things like whether a model is resistant to data poisoning requires a totally new kind of expert. Someone who's part data scientist, part cybersecurity pro. It's literally creating a brand new career path for folks we're calling AI security assessors.
So, what's the big takeaway here? For anyone in a leadership role, the message is simple. Get ahead of this. And here's a pretty straightforward roadmap. In the next 90 days, just start by figuring out what AI you're even using. Make a list and map it to those 5 use cases we talked about. Then, over the next year or so, start doing a gap analysis. Test the draft controls on your most important AI systems. Don't wait for the final version. And finally, once those drafts are out, it's time to make it official. Get a real budget and plug these new AI controls into your main platforms for managing governance, risk, and compliance.
Because at the end of the day, this whole COSAiS project, is about so much more than just a technical checklist to stop attacks. It's really about building the foundational trust with your customers, with the public, that is absolutely essential if AI is going to succeed at scale.
And for the really smart companies out there, this is a golden opportunity. The organizations that can step up and prove that their AI is built and run according to this rigorous national standard, they're going to turn compliance from a painful cost into a powerful competitive advantage. It's a real, tangible way to show the world that you can be trusted.
So we'll leave you with this question to chew on. As we move deeper into this new cognitive age, where AI is woven into the very fabric of our lives, is trust going to be your greatest asset? Or, if you ignore it, will it become your single biggest vulnerability? Somebody to think about.